as you can plainly see. They said I was stupid. They said I was strange. Well, maybe I am, but I'll never change. The world may not like me, but that's okay. There's only one thing I've got to say. Fuck everybody. Fuck everybody. They talked about me, a bunch of dirty lies. Then they laughed at me till it made me cry. But now they can all just kiss my ass, 'cause I found myself and I'm such a gas. The world may not like me, but that's okay. There's only one thing I've got to say. Fuck everybody. Fuck everybody. I went the sideman route, Lord knows how I tried. I kissed a lot of ass and lost a lot of pride. No matter how much you give, they're never satisfied. The only way to please them is to commit suicide. They slandered my name, said I was a fool, but they were just jealous because I'm so cool. I'm ahead of my time, I'm a Renaissance man. If I make you look bad, well, I don't give a damn. The world may not like me, but that's okay. There's only one thing I've got to say. Fuck everybody. Fuck everybody. Fuck everybody. Yeah, fuck everybody. Fuck everybody. All my so-called friends. Fuck everybody, everybody. Fuck everybody. Yeah. Fuck everybody. That's good, huh? Kiss my ass.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Larsen Live. It is January 20th, 2024. How are we all today? We open up with Mike Angelo and the Idols, Fuck Everybody, which really could be the theme song of Larsen Live in general, but today it seemed oddly appropriate since there wasn't any huge news stories per se, but just a lot of little piddling mediocrities and shittiness that just makes life just a little bit worse. So how are we all doing today? My wife is sadly working, so she won't be joining us, but she will be listening. Maybe she'll comment if the corporate overlords will allow her to speak. I think we're all doing good. Ponythroat says hello. Dubiously says that is peak music selection. Yeah, it's great music. It's the only music that actually Rowdy Roddy Piper's cover of it was better than the original, in my opinion, except for the language. Ponythroat says hello. Hello, sir. So yeah, what's going on in the world of just failure and shittiness and impending dark ages that we are living in now? Well, it's January 20th, and Valentine's Day is approaching, and naturally, the noodle-armed, bearded influencer douchebags have to comment on this. Matt Walsh says, buying a Valentine's Day gift for your wife a month early is the gayest thing you could possibly do. Yes, how dare a man take care of his wife and be concerned for his wife? Matt Walsh is, of course, a guy who was literally working on his shitty little, right-wing grifter horseshit while his wife was giving birth to their 5th child. Peak Catholicism in action. Yeah, you know what's gay? Buying things for your wife. Yeah, it's totally gay. This is, of course, yet another step in the American right wing becoming really sex negative for some inane reason. You also have Nick Fuentes saying that, marriage in relationships with girls is gay. Dating girls is gay. I remember when this sort of thing was a joke on The Simpsons. Like, ew, you kissed a girl, that's totally gay. I mean, one wonders why these noodle-armed faux men think that, doting on a lady is gay. I mean, Nick Fuentes, at the very least, is a barely closeted homosexual, so I can understand why he thinks it's gay to, you know, to buy things for women. But one wonders why a married man and father of 5, albeit in a legalistic sense, thinks that buying gifts for a lady is gay. Yeah, fuck, I hate Matt Walsh. Like, I cannot tell you how much I hate that whole Daily Wire shit heap. Little noodle-armed, like, narrow-chested dweebs with their beards. See, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Guys like him are why I've never been able to vote Republican. Because some of the stuff the Republicans say I agree with. Like, yes, I think the government should be smaller. I think taxes should be low. I think people do need to, bootstrap their asses up and take responsibility for themselves. I mean, there's a couple of reasons why I don't vote Republican, but a major one is just the philistinism. There's always like some barely veiled contempt for everything good in the world. Like, yeah, the arts is gay, music is gay, dressing well is gay, sex is gay. The only thing the Republicans care about is just worshiping corporations and bombing the shit out of countries full of brown people, and I can't say I approve of that. I mean, dare I say, like, American men should dress better. Dude, the only thing that's good in the world is just working and blowing things up. This is how we save, the West. This is how we return with a V. Fuck Matt Walsh. Fuck the Daily Wire. Fuck Ben Shapiro and all those assholes and their shitty movies. Fuck them all. Real good. Got some comments here. Robert Diaz says, solid day. Solid day to you too, sir. C-Punk Messiah says, hello, I'm doing okay, trying to draw stuff. Well, I'm sure you're a better artist than I am, sir. I've said this many times, but yeah, that logo of myself there, that is the peak of my artistic abilities. My wife is a very good painter. I'm not a visual artist. Robert Diaz says Singles Awareness Day is almost upon us. Yes it is. Ponythroat says, Matt Walsh always struck me as a man who is where he is today because he was too bland for Fox News. Yeah, I mean, Fox News is too busy hiring, like, washed up actors from the 80s to commentate on shit. Kirk Cameron, cough, cough. Robert Diaz says, the U.S. bombs the hell out of people no matter who's in office. LOL. Well, yes, that is also true. There's like that meme where it's like the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans, a B-52 dropping bombs. The Democrats, also a B-52 dropping bombs, but there's like gay pride flags on the plane. C-Punk Messiah compliments my art style. Yeah, the thing is, like, that little cartoon guy, that took me like 2 days to draw, whereas an actual good artist could draw that in like 5 seconds. Yeah, I've tried painting and stuff. I don't have that aptitude. I write, I play music. That's what I have skill in. But yeah, the visual art's not my strong point. Timothy Adams says, calm. Yes, calm to you too, sir. Ponythroat says, the real Daily Wire is the wire that holds his hair on. Yes, it could be that, or it could be the metal wire that Steve Crowder put in his chest because he wants to, like, not have dent chest. I mean, I wasn't aware that Matt Walsh has like a fake hairpiece. It wouldn't surprise me because the whole Daily Wire is a bunch of fake nonsense. Yeah, I really hate the whole like lumber sexual thing where you have these little skinny little twinks with their narrow shoulders and noodle arms, but they're wearing flannel shirts and they got beards, so you're supposed to think they're like manly and badass. I guarantee you that Matt Walsh has never done a day's labor in his life. Not that I want to fetishize manual labor. I mean, I did it during college and also after college. It's not fun, especially when you're in a non-union gig and you're forced to work like 13-hour days. But yeah, every man should do at least a little bit of it just to know why you should get out of that job. But then again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Manual labor is good if you have your own business. Yeah, if you're your own man, if you're a plumber, carpenter, mason, whatever, yeah, like that's good. But when you're doing grunt labor for some Serbian war criminal like I was, not so good. Matt Walsh is also a guy, FYI, who literally cowers in fear from spiders. Matt Walsh, April 14th, 2014. Would I lose man points if I told you that I let out an audible gasp of horror my wife spotted a wolf spider on the curtains last night? I refused to get within 10 feet of it and spent 15 minutes staring at it, while I Googled facts about wolf spiders. He then spent 45 minutes standing on the coffee table while attempting to capture it with a vacuum cleaner. For God's sake, man, they're spiders. As somebody who used to work in a zoo, I must laugh at his cowardice. Like, I used to handle spiders all the time. They're like fluffy little puppy dogs. Except for the Goliath bird eaters, I will admit I didn't handle those. But then again, I try not to handle arthropods that can literally cover up my entire face. But yes, I do find it amusing to imagine Matt Walsh jumping on a coffee table like the lady from old Tom and Jerry cartoons and screaming hysterically. Yes, I referred to the black woman as a lady because I know some people say she's the maid, but screw that. They never said she was the maid. When I was a kid, I just assumed she owned the house. But then that's neither here nor there. Okay, Timothy Adams says so many of these current media guys have fake hair. Yes, they do. It's still better than Steven Crowder's fake chest. Pony Throat says, I have no idea if he was fake hair or not, but he certainly has a toupee in spirit. C-Punk Messiah says Matt Walsh needs to be beaten up. Yeah, I mean, this kind of hurts to say as somebody who did get bullied. But I'm starting to think like maybe bullies do need to exist to some degree because like clearly some people didn't get bullied enough. Like, the Ben Shapiros and Matt Walshes of the world and Nick Fuentes, they should have gotten a little bit bullied in life. I mean, obviously you shouldn't bully the kind of dorky kid who keeps to himself. But dare I say, if, you're in a class with a flouncing little drama kid who wants to, like, take the reins of power, yeah, he should be bullied a little bit. C-Punk Messiah says, I've gotten used to spiders. They're nature's pest control. Now, that's what I tell my wife. I have a deal with the spiders. If they stay in, like, their, they stay out of people's space, I let them live. If they come anywhere near people's space, I kill them. Dubiously says, all the business owners who complain about how illegals take the jobs, while half their workforce is made up of undocumented workers they exploit. Yeah, that's another issue I have with the Republicans. They hate illegal immigrants, and I'm against illegal immigrants as well, but at the same time, they refuse to pay American citizens a fair wage. Personally speaking, like, I've never made enough money to have my own business, and I've never had employees, but, I have been a wagey, and I know, I could not live with myself if I, paid wages like grunt labor pay that they couldn't survive on. I mean, people say like, oh, well, if you had that much money, you know, you would pay people slave wages. No, I really don't think I would, to be honest. I mean, maybe this is why I don't succeed in the business world, but if I had a business, I would pay the employees, at the very least, like minimum wage, probably more than minimum wage. Like, okay, it's for example, I was watching a YouTube documentary about the chocolate industry the other day, and I know I just couldn't live with myself if I were like literally paying children to be, slave laborers, or actually not even paying them at all to be harvesting cocoa beans. Like, I really could not live with myself if I did that. Like, maybe this is just because I've struggled to get even to like a minimum wage. I'm sorry, I've struggled to get a middle class lifestyle, which I've finally achieved in the last 3 years or so. But I couldn't live with myself if I was like, oh well, I'm gonna make $230 million in profit instead of like $40 million in profit, and I save all this money by not paying my slave laborers a fair wage. I don't know. Like, I'd be happy with like the $40 million profit instead of like the $300 million profit. But that's just me. I mean, dubiously says, well, plenty of people can live with themselves clearly. Yes. Yes, that is the case. I do occasionally make little musical instruments for sale, like little, recorders and panpipes and things. And if that business ever got big enough that I would have to hire like, a worker, I would pay them at the very least like 15 an hour. But then, of course, me being a cheap bastard, I would put off hiring employees as much as I could. A Ponythroat says, looking at the comments, due to my housing, if I was scared of spiders, I would never stop screaming. Yeah, I mean, spiders are fun little fellows. I think jumping spiders are very cute. My wife disagrees, but nonetheless. Timothy Adams says, the free market, until that market works in favor of the workers. Yeah, that's another big reason why I can't vote Republican, just the worship of Ayn Rand. Yeah, that's basically it. Like, the main reasons I don't vote Republican, one is the philistinism, two is the, Ayn Rand objectivist, greed, horseshit, and three is just the endless bullshit wars. That, that's really why I don't vote Republican. Ponythroat says, remember, if you're being paid minimum wage, your employer would pay you less if he legally could. Well said. And yeah, I know, like, everybody loves, that Tim Ferriss guy who's like, yeah, just outsource all your shit to some, Indian in Mumbai who works for $2 an hour. But I couldn't live with myself, honestly. Ponythroat says, wagey jobs are cool. You get to live in a tall building, see the gunships in Strident, plus free healthcare and nutrient fluid. Oh, we're getting to that, believe me. But yeah, in conclusion, fuck Matt Walsh. But speaking of online influencers being full of lies and chicanery, you know who else is literally fake and gay? Bronze Age pervert. I called it. I knew it all along. So, yeah, that famous picture that BAP uses of the muscular guy on the beach? Yeah, that's a pro rugby player named Carl Lawton. That is not BAP. The picture of Mr. Lawton originated on a private gay forum for softcore, handsome men, nudie shots. Yeah, so BAP is fake and gay, just like I always knew. I predicted it years ago. I called it. Nobody listened to me. I suppose this is what we should have expected from a man who refers to himself as a pervert, or, a man who thinks that Alcibiades is like the greatest hero in Western civilization. Yeah, Alcibiades is literally like a lisping gay boy who sold out his country at every given moment. But, then again, I could have told you that Bap was fake and gay the second I saw that Man's World magazine he put out, which literally has like softcore gay porn on the cover. Like, there's literally, go look up the cover of Man's World. It's literally like this this like beefcake man in like a little sailor suit, like with his shirt off. And like, I'm like, nobody realized that this was incredibly gay. Like, literal, like, beefcakes and sailor suits. Nobody realized, gee, this looks a bit fruity. Nobody realized that this man who, speaks of beauty more than Vega from Street Fighter might be a little queer. Well, thank God everybody finally caught up to what I knew. Hey. Daphne says, not me. Working for a small business making actual good money doing it. Yeah, like, I know your job, my love. Your boss treats you well and pays you well. Your boss is not some, is not some money grubber born with a silver spoon in his mouth who wants to pay the wages the lowest possible wage he can. I've done, grunt backbreaking wagey labor where you get paid like $10 an hour to cripple yourself and you get paid, fringe benefits of pizza and like meatball sandwiches. It's not good. C Punk Messiah, referring to Bap and Alcibiades, says Alcibiades cucked Sparta. Yeah, he did. He stabbed Athens in the back, then Sparta. Then he sold out to the Persians, and he was finally killed while leaving his mistress to die in a burning building. Yeah, fuck Alcibiades. And fuck Bap, too. I have Bronze Age mindset. I've read it. I did always say there were some good things that he said in that book, but pretty much everything good in that book is basically, baby's first Nietzsche. And everything original in that book is hot garbage. Yeah, Bap sucks. He always sucked. Everyone was always getting on my ass for, not recognizing that. But I guess finally people are coming around to seeing that. Yeah, there's something. Whenever you see a guy posting like some picture of a man that's not him and claiming that it is him, that guy is fake and gay. I'm not as ripped as Carl Lawton, but I've shown myself in videos and pictures. I'm not ashamed of my physique. I post physique, Poast. Bap doesn't. Okay. Robert Diaz says, director David Decato came to mind when you mentioned Man's World. I don't know who David Decato is. Let me look that up. Okay, David Decato directed Puppet Master, Creepazoids, Nightmare Sisters, Retro Puppet Master. I always associated the Puppet Master with Charles Band, but of course Charles Band was the producer of Full Moon Entertainment. Did David Decato do a movie called Man's World? I mean, he did Beach Bays from Beyond and A Talking Cat. Let's see. Well, he did New World Pictures and Full Moon Pictures. But yeah, like that Man's World magazine that Bap does, that is like the gayest shit you can imagine. I mean, the problem with like the manosphere, like masculine stuff is, it very quickly can become a homoerotic farce, as we've seen time and time again. Basically, the manosphere stuff that I've seen, it either becomes like a homoerotic farce like BAP, or it becomes like just a bunch of dweebs like circle jerking and sort of like living vicariously through some, cool alpha male guy. Yeah, all the manosphere people end up becoming fucking lame and frauds. They like BAP became fake and gay. Well, I mean, he was always fake and gay, but his fake and gayness kind of poked through. Then you had like Tucker Max, who just was like, well, he was not gay, but he was fake. And I've heard stories about Tucker Max like setting up events, and like they were just flooded with these like geeks who were like worshiping Tucker Max, and he was just barely concealing his naked contempt for his dorky fans. Ponythroat says, at least becoming a stalker on the Citadel has a strong union behind you. No expectation that you do the Walmart dance. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, living in the world of the Running Man or the Hunger Games might be better than what we have now, because you know, at least Ben Richards and the Running Man never had to do like wagey dances. Ponythroat says, The Puppet Master. That was a good franchise for like 3 movies. Yeah, yes, it was. I mean, hey, it had a better run than Hellraiser, which stopped being good after the second movie. Robert Diaz says, he made a ton of shirtless bro films like Bigfoot versus DB Cooper. That seems like such a good idea. I'm almost certain that they blew it. C-Punk Messiah says, Manosphere guys would crumble at the first note of a Pantera song. Yes, well said. I mean, my advice to men is still, undefeated. Make yourself an interesting person, get in shape, learn some interesting hobbies, and just, take swings at the bat until you get laid. Unlike other, pickup artist Manosphere guys, I don't have naked contempt for my fans. And, that's actually something I find really funny about like both like the female OnlyFans girls and like the Manosphere guys. They all have naked contempt for their fans. Like, even though they're ostensibly on different sides of the same coin. Like, take any douchebag Manosphere guy like, Tucker Max or Andrew Tate. They openly like have naked contempt for their fans if you do any research into what they've said, and so do the OnlyFans girls. Timothy Adams says, I worked at Walmart back in the 80s. They no longer perform the hamster dances. I mean, from what I've seen, Walmart still makes the wages dance. I didn't know they were doing it back in the 80s. Ponythroat says, I think Hellraiser batted slightly stronger overall. I don't know about that. I mean, well, okay, like the first 2 Hellraisers are legitimately good movies, but when Hellraiser got bad, it got bad. Like, this is the Hellraiser internet. Like, and like, barbed wire fat ass, like breathing fire. Dave Stankovich says, hello. Hello, sir. Ponythroat says, do you have naked content for that weird Knoll guy or somebody? I mean, whatever that guy gets off to is, that's his business. C-Punk Messiah says, that's why I like guys like Hampton from Hybrid Calisthenics. He's a fit dude who's a pleasant person. Yeah, I like, more plates, more dates. I like, Zach Talander. Like, they're honest. Like, even Derek from More Plates, More Dates, like, he owns up to using steroids. he doesn't have a persona he sets up. Oh yeah, let's not forget the Liver King as another fake and gay fitness man. Okay. Timothy Adams says Hellraiser suffered from terrible movies, best unrealized character ever. Yeah, there's a that's why they made so many Hellraiser movies, because it's like there was such interesting lore that was hinted at in the first two, and they kept trying to chase that high, and it kept failing them, which is kind of a metaphor for the series on the whole, actually, since you could argue that the whole Cenobite thing is basically a metaphor for drug addiction. So much like a drug addict, Hellraiser fans keep chasing the high, and it keeps eluding them. Ponythroat says Puppet Master stopped using animation after 3. They just held the puppets and just kind of waved them in the shot or something. Ponythroat says, what about Playing with Fire? I cannot take seriously due to the sheer inauthenticity of his affected deep voice. I have no idea who that is. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Robert Diaz says, those manosphere dudes be like, getting women is easy. Look at my Lambo. Yes, they're rented Lambos. Yeah, those guys are all fucking hacks. Okay, so let's leave internet insanity behind for now. Let's talk about some scientific failures. Failures in physics and chemistry, ahoy. The New York Post has an article saying why airplane crashes are now safer than ever. In other words, the ongoing competency crisis is going to make planes crash a lot more. But thankfully, you're slightly less likely to die in an airplane crash. So don't worry. Wow, the future is going to be great. If you can't get people to not crash the planes, just make crashing safer. Again, like, I don't understand why you can't just hire pilots and not antagonize like middle-aged white men who have decades of experience. But no, let's just make crashing a plane slightly safer. Yeah, there's something about that defeatist mindset that I hate. Like, oh, well, we can't possibly stop crashing from happening. Let's just, make crashing safer. We can't possibly stop gunshots from happening. Let's just make medical care less likely to, you know, I'm sorry, let's make medical care more likely to save people who get shot. That is a loser's attitude. Ponythroat says the last Hellraiser movie was not terrible, all things considered. Oh yeah, the new one with the transgender pinhead. Yeah, I heard it was actually pretty decent. I still haven't checked it out. I mean, I really like the first two Hellraisers, and I dislike how the idiot fans just kept demanding the same old shit over and over again, even though there was very clearly supposed to be something new that was going to happen. It's the same thing that happened with Halloween. Because like, oh, don't give us anything new. Just do the same old shit over and over again. Idiots. Ponythroat says diverse pilots be ignoring that beeping in the cockpit like it was a smoke alarm. So I've heard. Timothy Adams says, now you have a 1 in 300 chance of surviving a crash. Yes. Now you're slightly less likely to die in a hellfire. Ponythroat says, Pinhead is one of the characters who having a transplay them kind of works. Yes, because actually, if you read the original Hellbound Heart short story that Clive Barker wrote, Pinhead is sort of described in a sort of hermaphroditic way, as opposed to Doug Bradley, who was, very overtly masculine playing him in the movies. So yeah, I might check out that new Hellraiser. But yeah, speaking of science being made into a goddamn mockery, Okay, Rice University is making me lose all respect for them. The diversity people are coming for the hard sciences. There's a class called Afrochemistry, soon to be implemented at Rice University. This class will implement African American sensibilities to analyze chemistry and inequities in chemistry and chemical education. Of course, there will be no final exam. Now, I'm not going to make the very obvious joke that I could make, but yeah, this is not good. I don't know what's racist about chemistry. It's chemistry. You mix chemicals together. Electrons are traded. Shit happens. I'm really trying to not make the very, very, very obvious joke I can make here. I don't want Susan to be mad at me. But yeah. Rice, I've lost respect for you, sir. Or Rice University, I've lost respect for you. I'm referring to Rice University as a sir. Yeah, this is not good. Ponythroat says Afrochemistry. Does that involve baking soda? Shinseki Evans says meth lab. Well, I guess we're gonna make the obvious joke here. So I guess that's just gonna be a class about cooking crack. Well, I guess so, because I don't know what else it's gonna be. This is very stupid, and it's very demeaning. I mean, I teach fermentation and distillation to the children of all races, and I think it's great. If I was black, I would find this gravely offensive. It's implying that I can't do real chemistry. Robert Diaz says there is no inequity in the sciences. It's about putting in the effort to learn. Math and science are not racist. Yes, they are as objective as you could possibly get. I mean, the white supremacist nature of science doesn't stop Asians and Indian people from, doing it. Yes, I weep for the state of education in this country. Oh yeah, speaking of education, Massachusetts began temporarily letting anybody with a bachelor's degree teach. Their students saw no change from the people taught by regularly licensed educators. This, yet again, proves that the people who go to school specifically for education are full of lies and chicanery. They are basically, the drama club kids who are basically trying to fail upwards into a middle class career. People who go to school specifically for education are people that can't do anything else. I have zero respect for people who have doctorates in education. I'm just saying that as a teacher myself. Or, we could keep teaching Afrochemistry, not to be confused with Afro-engineering, which is yet another hard science field. I occasionally Afro-engineer things around the house myself. Okay, there's no comments here. I guess people are just busy contemplating how Afro-engineering works and Afrochemistry. I'm trying not to make the really offensive jokes, but it just keeps happening anyway. Oh boy, the world sucks. Sorry. Yeah, so what else is going on? We can go back to politics for a bit. I don't have a huge amount to talk about today, but yeah, we can talk a little bit. So, something that went a bit viral on the Twitters was a anarchist bumper sticker, whatever you call it, showing a fare jumper on the subway. It says "fuck your fare." Anarchists are like, yeah, man, we should. And reading this thread made me realize why I've never really cared for anarchists. Because I've noticed that what anarchists want is they don't want to actually run society. They just want to be like the underbelly of a functional society that, will support them so they can act like, the cool guy who's like, tastefully grody and unkempt. Basically, they want to live in like 1950s America, but they want to be like, the smarmy underbelly who criticizes it while doing nothing to change things. Seriously, go ahead and ask an anarchist, like, what would you do if you got into power? They don't want power. They don't have any plans for power. They just want to like throw Molotov cocktails and like, just be crust punks and be like, the cool guy. Yeah, dare I say, a lot of like radical politics is more about building a subculture instead of like actually doing anything to change society. A tweet says it best. I've watched anarchists talk about how they fight power in America my whole life, and they've accomplished two things: jack and shit. I take that back. They keep hot topics solvent. Yeah. I don't really care for these people myself. These are also the geniuses who are like, hey man, let's shoplift from the stores. But why are the stores closing? Why are there food deserts? I don't know. Okay. Robert Diaz says, I saw a study about study time outside of school. Groups were ranked as top to bottom: Asians, whites, Hispanics, blacks, in that order. It's all about studying. Yes, well said. I mean, I say this as a teacher, but like, I've seen studies that show that a teacher can only influence like 20% of a student's grade. The bulk of it has to be done by the student themselves. And if they don't study, then they're not going to succeed. Simple as that. Ponythroat says, Afro engineering is about using ropes and sticks to navigate African infrastructure that nobody knows how to repair for some reason. Sadly, yes. C-Punk Messiah says, in a world that sucks, metal is the light that gets me through. Thrash, power, and prog metal especially. Yeah, I kind of know where you're coming from. I like folk metal myself. Okay. Robert Diaz says, anarchy is a cycle of destruction of the strong over the weak historically. When the strong they become weak, they become the victims. I mean, maybe anarchy in the general sense, but people who define themselves as anarchists, like everyone I've ever known, basically just wants to be like a cool, like grody punk guy instead of actually accomplishing anything worthwhile. Ponythroat says anarchists kick over garbage cans and think of themselves as Che Guevara. In the same way atheists put the Bible in the fiction section and act like the reincarnation of Voltaire. Yeah, well said. It is truly the Redditist of political ideologies. But yes, one does wonder how we can actually affect political change. I wonder that myself. I mean, I suppose you could do the slow and steady route of, winning local elections and working your way up. But, you know, what do I know? Robert Diaz says teachers need firm parents to push the kids. No push for real effort from the parents hurts teachers. Yes. Like a lot of kids, act up and cause problems, and it really sucks for the kids who want to learn. My suggestion to allow teachers to fustigate, violent brappies That's still a good idea, which I think we should try. And, actually make it so punishments can, actually have effects on the children. Why, yes, if a class suddenly has a spontaneous dance battle, they should be punished with detention. But punishments mean nothing now. They just get slaps on the wrist until they commit their first felony. Everybody wonders how this could happen. The school to prison pipeline. It's a prison because you've turned it into a prison. Okay, so now that we're done with the serious news, such as it is, let's talk about some popular culture. Let's talk about the title story. Some, hone French Ubisoft asshole says people, the video gamers need to start feeling comfortable with not owning the games you play. You need to get used to subscriptions. Get used to not owning your games. Yeah, no. Dare I say, if I can't own a game, then by definition, if I pirate a game, it's not stealing. I mean, not that I particularly want to play Ubisoft games in general. I mean, Assassin's Creed ran off the cliff a long time ago. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Rayman nowadays, and I don't know what the hell else is Ubisoft doing nowadays. Yeah, Indigo Prophecy was half of a good game. I can't say I care for the state of the video game industry nowadays. You've got them literally saying you need to pay on a per subscription basis. Coincidentally, it's also to do with all the game companies very stringently studying the Skinner box studies to get people hooked for thousands of hours. And all in all, I think there's going to be a massive rush towards retro and independent gaming. Yeah, screw Ubisoft. Screw the Skinner box games. Play the retro games. Play the independent games. And, support Nintendo, because at least, say what you will about them, at least they're not, making Skinner box games. Which is coincidentally probably why Nintendo regained the first place slot after decades of, being a runner-up. Pirate video games. Don't buy video games. Give Ubisoft the finger at all times. Okay. Ponythroat says, the Anarchist Cookbook is a guide on crappy IEDs. Yes, it is. Ponythroat says exactly what I said. If purchasing is not ownership, then piracy cannot be theft. I agree. Shinseki Evan also agrees with me, saying this is why you play the old games. Ponythroat says people talk about how the school to prison pipeline affects the minorities, but they forget how the pipeline contents commit crimes. Yes. It's all just a group of, middle-aged SSRI afflicted, pit mommies coddling the violent brappies until they get out of prison and go to prison because they've never been disciplined their whole life. And yes, the 270-pound sped who beat the crap out of that woman in Florida, the woman is putting her feet down and not demanding more lenient sentences, even though many other SSRI afflicted, middle-aged ladies are begging her to do so. Yeah, good for her. Screw that kid. There is no game on the Nintendo Switch that is worth beating a woman for. I mean, I remember when it first happened, I made a joke about how, boy, that kid really was into Breath of the Wild, even though the Legend of Zelda franchise has a pretty clear stance on hitting women. Upon thinking further, I realized that the Zelda franchise is actually A-okay with hitting women as long as they're really bad. The villain of Oracle of Ages was a lady, and there are several bosses in the game that are ladies. Yeah, it's true you can't kill the Gyarados women, but they're hot, so they deserve mercy. Ugly women don't deserve mercy, children. Kidding. Robert Diaz says, not every game needs a $100 million budget. Yeah, I agree. C-Punk Messiah says, maybe this could be the golden age of indie games. I sure hope so. Like, I legit got more joy out of playing Cuphead or Double Dragon Neon than any, AAA lesbian golf simulator they put out nowadays. Biff Slankovich says, it's the anniversary of the Hudson River landing. Yes, thank you. Paunchy, middle-aged white men with mustaches are, in fact, good pilots. Shinseki Evans says, the Daily Mail has a story on the Brandon Deepa Matanzas school, Nintendo Switch beatdown. His adopted mother says he's a good boy who didn't do nothing. Of course she does. It's all a vicious cycle. Like these middle-aged SSRI, popping women, they adopt pit bulls and they adopt feral brappies who are basically human pit bulls. And then, Fluffy ends up killing somebody or beating somebody to near death. And yeah, it's not good. Your children are not good. C-Punk Messiah says, From Software remains the king of AAA games. Yeah, sure. Play the indie games, play the retro games. There's a ton of old games you can emulate, and I don't think I'll ever need to buy a new game again. Like I said, there's like 3 games on the Switch that I might want to play, and I don't know, I just don't have the time. Ponythroat says, arcade beat-em-ups. That's a genre that is very much in favor of giving women equal rights and lefts. Yes, indeed. Sadly, we will never again see the poison solution to violence against women in video. But that's neither here nor there. Speaking of the ladies, and going to Hollywood news, Jodie Foster had something ridiculous to say about cinema. From Variety, Jodie Foster said the $1.4 billion success of the Barbie movie has changed everything in Hollywood. In the old days, they saw women as a risk. Now they know that women can be a profitable market. Really, Jodie Foster, you think nobody ever targeted a movie towards ladies before 2022? I'm sorry, are feminists just perpetually stuck in the 70s? Like, I don't understand how you could say this. Wow, there's never been any women have never headlined movies before now. It's like Jennifer Lawrence with The Hunger Games. There's never been, a woman leading an action movie before me. Like, do we not have history? Like, read a goddamn history book, people. This is a stupid idea, and you should feel bad. These are the people who lecture us on media literacy. These are the people who, are running movies, video games, and books. This is why everything is like lesbian golf simulators nowadays. This is a stupid idea, Jodie Foster, and you should feel bad. Like, please, support indie movies, support indie video games, support independent literature, support anything that doesn't put money into the shitheads who run the media. Okay. C-Punk Messiah says, it might be a good time to learn Game Maker Studio to try and break into the indie game market. Yeah, I've considered learning how to make indie games, but I can't program worth a shit. And I don't have the time. The only thing I know how to do with video games is how to make, chiptune music. I do know how to do that. And, unfortunately, music is only the third most important thing in a video game. The first 2 in order being gameplay and graphics. But, good music alone does not make a video. But yeah, if I had the time, I would certainly love to make video games. Robert Diaz says Jodie Foster is stupid. Either that or she just hasn't left the Hollywood bubble since the 70s. Ponythroat says the Hunger Games started the whole strong independent whammon with a bow and arrow meme. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's cool that women are into archery now, but you do realize that, like, a lot of people seem to be under the impression that, like, you can be like a waifish little wisp and be a good archer. No, you cannot. You got to be strong as hell to be an archer. Also, I'm in favor of bringing back the sling. That is the true peasant weapon. Shinseki Evans says Alec Baldwin knows all about targeting women. He sure does. Biff Slankovich says Trump blames Nikki Haley for starting the insurrection. I blame Nikki Haley for a lot of things, but I don't think she's guilty of that. Okay. C-Punk Messiah says it'd be nice to get a resurgence of Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I write short stories for Terror House, so I've in my own small way I've done a little bit of that. Robert Diaz says they're the same people who complain about the wages they negotiate to be in the movie. Indeed. Timothy Adams says the games I play and enjoy, they have very effective audio components. You kind of play by ear. Yeah, I mean, video game music is always great. I will still argue that good video game music is better than like any, EDM. Like I could go to a club right now and I could play like Yuzo Koshiro music or like Sonic 3 music and I could bring the house down. Yeah, I've made a few little chiptune songs for myself just to kind of prove that I could. Ponythroat says the crazy bus theme is still fire. Yes, yes it is. And yeah, that about does it for my prepared remarks. Unless I can find something very interesting to talk about. Okay. So you can say your last pieces and talk amongst yourselves. Okay. The Lost to Found man asks, "Hey man, how'd you feel about doing a collab or an interview? I've seen your contact and it's kind of the same with mine." Yeah, sure. Um, if you want to contact me for something, my email is right here. Yeah, shoot me an idea if you want. I'm always welcome to collabs. Seapunk Messiah says the CDI Zelda games had decent soundtracks. Yeah, they did. Those games are actually not completely terrible. I mean, the animations are ridiculous and awful, but yeah, they're just mediocre games that have become infamous due to the goofy cartoon shit. Okay, Ponythroat says it's CD audio. Yeah, the music was actually decent. Timothy Adams says, "Why does the World Economic Forum have authority to do anything? Why are they not simply shut down?" Because they throw a shitload of money around. That's why. Yeah, so I'm going to just kick back for a second, and you can talk amongst yourselves. Robert Diaz says the hit detection in those CDI games was bad. Yeah, like I said, they were mediocre, but they weren't completely terrible. And actually, fun fact, you know how I told you how I've been kind of toying with the ideas I've had for like the Zelda movie? Yeah, my opening for the first Zelda movie would be basically, the Hylian Civil War, and it would be the King of Hyrule versus Duke Onkled. And it would show how Ganondorf kind of fooled the king into like being loyal to him. The opening would be Ganondorf jumping into like the opposing faction and just like slaughtering them single-handedly and like presenting Duke Onkled's severed head to the king. God damn, my ideas are good. The studio ought to listen to me for those movies, but that's a whole different issue. Biff Slankovich says you got to engage the students. Yes, you do. But you can't engage the students if the brappies are making noise. So, fustigate brappies, kick brappies off bridges, roundhouse kick brappies in the face, etc., etc. Ponythroat says the CDI was a terrible controller, which is not helping. Yeah, that was not a good piece of software, the Phillips CDI. Timothy Adams says good weekend. C-Punk Messiah says people remastered the CDI Zeldas and they made a spiritual successor. Yes, I did hear that. I mean, I still have like my old school video game hardware. I still have you know, like my old NES and Genesis and Nintendo 64. They're rotting away in my parents' house, but still, I ought to break them out sometime. Ponythroat says the CDI is tragically rotting away on a hardware level. I mean, it was never really flourishing on a hardware level, but that's neither here nor there. Oh boy, Arzette and the Jewel of Faramore are going to be available on February 14th, 2024. Great, I'll grab my stuff. Oh my god. Timothy Adams says gameplay chat. Yes, indeed. Yeah, like in my Zelda movie ideas, I would reference everything from the franchise, including the mangas, and hell, I would even reference like shit from the CDI games, like very briefly. Ponythroat says the CDI basically will die after 25 years. Good, it should die. That was not a good piece of hardware. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those RZ games are going to recapture the charm of these Zelda CDI games because they don't have like poorly paid Russian wages to animate them. And that's a shame. Yeah, I know they're kind of like trying to do it, but to make it like deliberately bad, it's not quite the same. Squat a lot. Timothy Adams says, thanks, Ponytho, for reminding us how old we are. Yes. Very unfortunate. Yeah, so you can talk amongst yourselves as I kind of kick back. I also like how the remasters of those CDI games were literally cease and desisted by Nintendo. Yeah, because yeah, these are the games you want to defend Nintendo. These hunks of shit. I mean, the art style of the RZ game does look pretty similar. So I can only assume that they did hire some like poorly paid Russians to animate these piles of crap. Timothy Adams asks, "Isn't Steam kind of not owning your games anyway?" Yeah, I say as if I didn't pay for Double Dragon Neon and then I lost my Steam password. Point says, "I wish I had a CDI. I would repair that shit so hard." Yeah, that actually reminds me. In my parents' house, I actually have like an old Game and Watch, which hasn't worked in years. I've been meaning to try to crack that open and try to like solder it and fix it. Like I looked it up and apparently it wasn't like a true Game and Watch. It was like a knockoff. It was like a little thing where you were like you played as a trampoline and you were catching little acrobats and bouncing them to safety. And I looked it up and that apparently wasn't a true Game and Watch. It was just like a knockoff Game and Watch. And I looked it up and I couldn't find a damn thing about it. I'm sorry, Pony Throat clarifies there were plenty of Game and Watch knockoffs back in the day. Sorry, I hit my phone by accident. Yeah, yeah. Next time I go to my parents' house, I definitely have to like try to find that knockoff Game and Watch. It's like I did play it a little bit when I was a little kid, and then it kind of crapped out. Use like the old, C battery. Okay, so it doesn't seem like anybody has anything else to say. So this has been Larsen Halleck for Larsen Halleck. Uh, you know, click, quote, subscribe, give me money, and all of you have a good day.